So let's talk about the hookup of the mixer. So I have a couple of 1296s. There's a 896 over here and a 24i. I am going to hook up the mixer to the outputs of one of the 1296s. It's coming out here on the patch bay. And then I'm going into this mixer, channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8 is a stereo track, 9, 10 is a stereo track, and 11, 12. So that means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stereo buses. Then I'm taking the output of the mixer here, going into input number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on one of the 1296s. Now let's look at how the busing is set up in DP to do this. So here back in DP, you can see I have a session that was done in the box and is already routed. So now I have aux channels here for vocals, guitars, strings. Some keys are going straight to the 2 bus. So now we will have to set up our bundles to work with the outputs assignments for the mixer. So we'll go to the bundles window. Let's look at our outputs. And we had set up output channels from the first 1296 from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and all the way up there. And you can see here, normally I have a TC finalizer hooked up with channel 1, 2 on the 1296. Now I hooked it up, I took that out in my patch bay and took that output directly into the mixer. So let's just change the name of this one to Mackie 1, 2. Then we set up the other outputs. So let's add multiple, and they are stereos. So let's add 8 stereos. And the next will be Mackie 3, 4. However, DP automatically set it up as an output on the Apollo, which is not, so we have to reassign that to channel 2, 3, and 4 on the 1296. So we'll just go over here and click, and while we add it, we might as well just reassign the rest of them. So the next one down will be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then we'll go to another 1296, 1, 2 on the second 1296, and 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we can go back and rename these. So that will be Mackie 5, 6. And to go to the next one, I'll just use the arrow down key on the keyboard. 7, 8. Down key. Down key. Down key. So now we have all our outputs set up. Now we need the input. So we go to the input tab. And you remember we set the input to 5, 6 return on the first 1296. So we need to add that. And we will call it Mackie return. And we will make that a stereo. And we will find 5 and 6 input and assign that to this bundle. So now we set up the bundle. Of course, if it's something you do all the time export your bundle, and you don't have to set it up over and over again. You can just import it and add it to your session. So we'll close this, and now we'll start routing our vocals first to Mackie 1, 2, guitar going to Mackie 3, 4, the strings going to 5, 6, and what's normally I set to the 2 bus, let's go send that to the Mackie 7, 8. So everything that goes 2 bus. One easier way to do all these would be going to the tracks window and just select everything here that goes to 2 bus. Two bus, 2 bus, 2 bus, 2 bus, 2 bus. 2 bus, 2 bus. And then we'll go to Studio and go to Track Assignments and assign all these to Mackie 7, 8 was the one we sent the other 2 buses to. And click OK, so now they have been reassigned. Of course, before we start doing anything, now you need to do a gain stage on the mixer to make sure that your levels are right. I haven't done that, so let's just play some music here and get the levels. Okay, so I think I got some levels over here. Normally I would put a tone on each track or each bus and just use the tones to make sure my mixer is set to unity. Now this is not, I just set this up I just set this up today for demo purposing, so I haven't done the right gain staging just to show the concept of this. So the last thing we need to do is add a stereo track that we're going to print on. And we will call it mix print. The input, we will set that to the Mackie return. And as I'm not using my mixer to control any monitoring here, I'm using the Apollo. I can set the output to my main out. You have to be very careful here. If you are routing anything that goes back into your mixer, that goes back into your output, then of course you'll set up a feedback loop, and that's why I said if you have a scenario that's like that, then we'll set the output here to one of the buses that goes nowhere. Let's go back. I didn't see it, so let's just check my bundles. Let's look at our bundles. We didn't do a bus to nowhere on the output here, so let's add one more. Stereo, we'll just call it output to nowhere. Select a random output that we haven't hooked up to anything. So now I have output to nowhere here, and I can select that here, so we can start recording to this track and we won't hear anything, and we'll be monitoring what comes out of the main mixer if you're not monitoring through any of your interfaces here, but using your output on the mixer to monitor. Now if I want to monitor what comes in here as the setup I have, where I'm using the Apollo, I would simply select my Apollo normal output stream, and we will select our audio path through, set that to auto, so we can listen to what comes in when we start recording here. So let's just start. All my faders on the mixer are set at unity gain. So let's see what happens.
Well, you can thank me when the time is right. Stay to the left and out of sight. Save your life.
So now I'm moving the faders on the mixer. And there we have the vocals alone. And bring in the guitar.
I'm gonna luck if you do not shine me. Omega fine if you don't let me have a bite. I'm upside down on a carousel. Lifts me up but it hurts too well. You can thank me when the time is right. Stay to the left and
I need to gain stage that to get the right levels as I would have done inside the DP project. But this is just an example of how this actually works. So now I'm getting it back. You saw I'm starting printing. We'll have it down here. So here's our print. So that's how we do it.